My son ignored me for years, treated me like I was an embarrassment. New Year's Eve, I said calmly. I sold the company. He laughed mockingly. That worthless business, how much did you get? I answered $200 million. His face went pale. His wife stopped breathing. The room froze. That's when they realized how badly they had treated me. Real quick comment below where you're watching from. And if someone ever made you feel like you weren't good enough, you're not alone. Let's hear your story. My name is Daniel Cooper. I'm 58 years old, and last New Year's Eve, I watched my son's entire world crumble with 4 words I'd been holding back for decades. The parking lot of Rachel's apartment complex was half empty that December 31st evening. I pulled my 15-year-old Ford into a spot near the entrance, the engine giving its usual death rattle before going quiet. 2 spaces over sat Logan's BMW, black, sleek, probably leased. The contrast wasn't lost on me. Never was. Through the 3rd-floor window, I could see Barbara standing there, backlit by Rachel's living room. Even from down here, I recognized that look, arms crossed, head tilted. I'd seen it at their wedding, at every family dinner. The look that said her husband's father drove a beat-up truck and had dirt under his fingernails. I grabbed the store-bought pie from the passenger seat and headed inside. Rachel met me at the door with a hug that lasted too long. Hey, Dad, you made it. Wouldn't miss it, kiddo. Logan appeared behind her champagne flute in hand. Dad, good to see you. The words were right. The tone wasn't. Barbara emerged from the kitchen. Daniel, how was the drive? She took the pie like it might contaminate her. Oh, store-bought. How practical. Rachel had done her best candles, tablecloth, the good plates. Aunt Helen was already seated, my late wife's sister, watching everything with sharp eyes. From the living room came the New Year's countdown show, some host talking about fresh starts and new beginnings. Fresh starts. The irony. I found myself at the far end of the table. Not at the head, Logan had that, but off to the side. The conversation started before I'd unfolded my napkin. We're thinking Martha's Vineyard this summer, Logan said. Barbara's family has connections. The networking opportunities would be incredible. My father knows everyone there, Barbara added. Real movers and shakers, not like... She glanced at me, then away. Rachel tried. Dad, didn't you just... Dad's still doing his construction thing, right? Logan cut in. Still keeping busy. I carved into my turkey. Still keeping busy. Barbara leaned forward. That must be nice, though. Simple work. Physical. No office politics. Just building things. Logan launched into another story venture capital's strategic positioning terms I knew he barely understood. Barbara nodded along. I watched my son and barely recognized him. The boy who used to hand me tools in the garage, who'd fallen asleep on my shoulder during drives home from Little League, gone. In his place sat someone who'd learned to be ashamed of where he came from. Real business is about who you know, Logan continued. It's not like manual labor. Aunt Helen's fork clinked hard against her plate. Rachel's eyes pleaded. Stay calm, Dad. From the TV. 2 hours until midnight time for those New Year's resolutions. Logan wasn't done. He leaned back, that familiar smirk sliding across his face, the one I'd seen since his prep school friends, asked why his dad showed up in Carhartts. So, Dad, he said, false curiosity dripping from every word, you still working out of that garage? Still running that embarrassing little contractor business of yours? The table went quiet. I set down my fork carefully and looked at my son. Logan leaned back further, smirk spreading wider. I knew that look. 25 years of that look. Here it comes, I thought. The words hung in the air like smoke. That embarrassing little contractor business of yours. 25 years of swallowing those words. I was done. I set my fork down and looked at my son. Actually, I sold the company. Logan's smirk flickered. You... what? Sold it. Last year. Barbara's champagne flute froze halfway to her lips. Rachel's eyes closed. She already knew. Logan laughed nervously. Sold it to who for what? 50 grand? He made air quotes with his fingers. Barbara snickered. I didn't rise to it. Just stated facts. Kingsley Development Group. Never heard of them, Logan said. National firm. Robert Kingsley negotiated personally. Barbara leaned forward. So how much did you get for your little empire, Daniel? The table went silent. From the living room, the countdown show continued, but quieter now, like the volume had been turned down. I looked at Logan. saw my late wife's eyes staring back, saw the boy I'd raised alone work double shifts for whose college I'd paid for while wearing the same boots until the soles wore through. $200 million. The silence was deafening. Barbara's champagne flute slipped caught just in time. Aunt Helen's fork clattered. Rachel smiled faintly. Logan's jaw dropped. "That's not funny, Dad." His voice cracked. "He's joking," Barbara whispered. Logan grabbed his phone, fingers fumbling. "You're lying." I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, turned the screen toward them. The numbers filled the display. Logan snatched it, Barbara pressing beside him. His thumb scrolled frantically, checking the account name, the dates. "Let me see," Barbara hissed. Logan was already on his own phone, typing with shaking hands. I watched the color drain from his face. "Local contractor sells company for $200 million. My photo appeared. Work jacket Cooper construction sign behind me. Logan looked up, then back at the screen. His mouth opened and closed. Barbara had gone white. Her fingers scrolled through, article after article. "This can't be," Logan managed. How?" Aunt Helen smiled faintly. Rachel squeezed my hand. I let them marinate in it. The embarrassing contractor. The manual laborer. The small-town joke they explained at Boston parties. "How is this possible?" Barbara's voice barely registered. "You work with your hands." "Yeah, still do. That's how I built it." Logan was reading now, lips moving, taking in the 11 years, the 50 employees, the 3-state operation, everything he'd never bothered to ask about. "Dad, Nothing followed. I'd imagined this moment for 2 years, thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, I just felt tired. "You want to know the truth?" My voice stayed level. "You spent 25 years looking at me like I was something to be ashamed of, your old man with dirt under his nails." Logan's face went crimson. "I didn't build that company to prove anything to you," I continued. "I built it because it's what I knew how to do." I paused. "Turns out being good at something matters more than where you went to school." Barbara's hands shook as she scrolled. From the living room, the TV announcer's voice drifted in. 1 hour to midnight. Everyone. But nobody was listening to that countdown anymore. They were listening to me. And for the first time in my son's adult life, he was actually hearing every word. I stood there watching my son process what his world looked like when it wasn't centered around him. "How is this?" Logan's voice came out strangled. "When did you—" Barbara was still scrolling, pale as winter. "There has to be some mistake." "You want to know when—" I kept my voice level. "While you were telling people I was an embarrassment. While Barbara explained to her Boston friends why she had to visit flyover country. I was building something real." Logan flinched. "I paid for your college, Logan, every cent. You graduated debt-free while I wore boots with holes in them." I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. "You never asked how. Never cared to." The room had gone still. "For 25 years you looked at me like something to be ashamed of. The uneducated contractor. The guy with dirt under his fingernails." I turned to Barbara. "Your family refused my son. At first said he wasn't good enough. Funny how that works." Barbara's mouth opened. Nothing came out. I looked back at Logan. Saw the boy who used to wait up after my double shifts just to tell me about his day. That kid was buried somewhere under all this. "I didn't build that company to prove anything to you," I said quietly. "I built it because it's what I know how to do, and I'm good at it." I paused. "Turns out being good at something matters more than where you went to school." Aunt Helen set down her napkin, something like satisfaction in her eyes. Logan shook his head, staring at his phone. "Dad, we should... There's so much..." "No, we don't." I pushed back from the table. The chair scraped against Rachel's floor. "Happy New Year." The words came out flat, not celebratory, not angry, just done. I walked toward the door. Didn't storm out, just walked steady as always. Rachel was up instantly, grabbing her coat. "Rachel, wait." Barbara started. "I am calm," I said, hand on the doorknob. "Been calm for 2 years, ever since I signed those papers and decided I didn't need you to see me anymore. I looked at Logan one last time. I wanted you to be proud of me. Spent your whole life trying to earn that. Turns out I was chasing the wrong thing." "Dad, please." Logan's voice cracked. "We can talk. Maybe you could help me." I opened the door. Cold air rushed in. "Goodbye, Logan." Rachel followed me into the hallway. Behind us, Logan's voice rose. "Dad, wait, we should talk. There are opportunities." The door closed on his words. We walked in silence, down the stairs, through the lobby, into the parking lot where my Ford sat next to his BMW. Rachel didn't say anything, didn't need to. Through the third-floor window, I could see them, Logan frozen in Rachel's living room, Barbara with her face in her hands. The TV still playing the countdown show host's voice barely audible. 15 minutes to midnight. I unlocked my truck. The hinges creaked. "You okay, Dad?" Rachel asked. "Yeah, kiddo. I really am." I started the engine. The old Ford rumbled to life. As we pulled out of that parking lot, fireworks started popping in the distance. Someone jumping the gun couldn't wait for midnight. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Logan appear in the window phone, already pressed to his ear, already asking for something, but we were already gone. Rachel reached over and squeezed my hand. Behind us, the apartment building got smaller. Ahead, the road stretched out clean and clear. Somewhere in the city church, bells started ringing. Midnight, New Year, new chapter. And I'd just closed the book on 25 years of trying to be enough for someone who'd never learned to see me. The night was sharp and cold the way Iowa winter nights get when the sky goes clear. I rolled down the window an inch, let the air rush in. "Where to?" Rachel asked. "Home," I said, and I meant it. The headlights cut through the darkness as we left Rachel's apartment behind. My daughter sat quiet beside me, and somewhere in that silence I drifted back to another winter night, another lifetime. I wasn't always the man who could walk away like that. There was a time when Logan looked at me different. The day Sarah died changed everything. Car accident on black ice 2 weeks before Christmas. Logan was 10. Rachel was 5. I became 2 parents in one body overnight. The casseroles started arriving that same week. Mrs. Peterson from the diner brought lasagna. The church offered to help with bills. "I'll take care of my own," I told them. So I did. I picked up every extra shift I could find. Worked at construction 6, sometimes 7 days a week. Left before dawn, came home after dark, smelling like sawdust and sweat. Found Logan doing homework at the kitchen table, Rachel asleep on the couch. I learned to cook nothing fancy. Spaghetti, tacos, grilled cheese. Logan ate without complaining. Rachel crawled into my lap while I balanced the checkbook sticky fingers in my hair, telling me about her day. She didn't care that I showed up to her school plays in Carhartts with concrete dust on my boots. She'd run to me shouting, "Daddy," loud enough for everyone to hear. Logan was different. The first time I saw it, he was 12. Parents' night at his middle school. I came straight from a job site, hadn't changed. Other dads wore pressed khakis. I wore work pants and steel-toed boots that squeaked on the floor. Logan's friend whispered something. I caught the word janitor, saw Logan's face go red, saw him step away from me just slightly. I told myself it was normal. Kid stuff. It would pass. It didn't. By 15, he'd stopped inviting me to his games. I went anyway, sometimes stood at the back. Watched him scan the crowd, then look relieved when he didn't find me. Money was always tight. New boots for me or cleats for Logan. I chose Logan, every time. Wore boots so thin I could feel every nail, every rock. When his acceptance letter came from that East Coast school, the tuition number made my stomach drop. $40,000 a year, times 4. I looked at my son's face bright with hope and said, "We'll make it work." He hugged me then, brief, awkward. Then he was on his phone, texting friends, talking about dorms and majors and a future that didn't include asking how his father was going to pay for it. I never told him about the second mortgage, the weekend landscaping jobs, the nights I worked mall security. He didn't ask, I didn't offer. The day I drove him to campus, Rachel came along, 13 quiet in the back seat. We helped him unpack. When it was time to go, I held out my hand. He shook it, barely met my eyes. In the truck pulling away, Rachel asked, "Why didn't Logan hug you goodbye?" I told her he was just excited. New chapter. But I knew the truth. The day Sarah died, I'd promised her I'd take care of our kids. I kept that promise. Fed them, clothed them, put roofs over their heads, and paid for schools I couldn't afford. But somewhere along the way in all that taking care, I'd become something Logan wanted to leave behind. The father in work boots. The man who smelled like construction sites instead of cologne. The embarrassment he'd spent years trying to outgrow. Sarah used to say Logan had my eyes but her heart. She was wrong about the second part. Rachel had Sarah's heart. Logan had learned to close his. And driving away from that college campus with my youngest asking questions, my oldest never, would I realized I'd lost my son long before he ever got on that plane to Boston. I just hadn't been willing to admit it until now. 5 years after I drove Logan to college, he called with news. "Dad, I'm bringing someone home. Her name is Barbara." The way he said her name like it was made of glass. Logan had graduated in 2014, moved to Boston, landed some job he never quite explained. His calls had gotten rare, once a month maybe, always short, but this call was different. "Sure," I told him. "We'll get the place ready." Rachel helped me clean top to bottom. She was 20 home from community college for summer, and she saw right through it. "He's nervous," she said. "That means she's important." Or difficult, I thought. They arrived on a Friday evening. I heard the car before I saw it, some European thing that purred instead of rumbled. Barbara stepped out wearing clothes that probably cost more than my mortgage. Blonde, perfect posture smile that didn't reach her eyes. "So this is Dubuque." Like she'd landed on another planet, Logan was different around her. Apologetic. Shoulders tight, voice higher. I'd seen him nervous before. This was something else. "Dad, this is Barbara." He touched her elbow. "Barbara, my father, Daniel." My father, not my dad. "Mr. Cooper." She extended her hand like granting an audience. Soft palm. No calluses. Dinner was painful. I'd made pot roast. Barbara pushed it around her plate. "This is so authentic," she said. "Real Americana. My family does catering, but there's something charming about home cooking, in a rustic way." "Rustic?" Rachel repeated quietly. "You've lived here your whole life, Mr. Cooper." Barbara's eyes swept the modest living room, worn couch, old TV, Sarah's photos on the mantel. "That must be simple." Simple. The word hung there. "Dad's company has been growing," Logan started. "Logan mentioned you're in construction." Barbara smiled at me like I was a child. "That's wonderful. Physical work. So honest." "My father's in finance, all very abstract. Nothing real like what you do." The condescension was thick enough to choke on. I glanced at Logan, saw him watching her reactions, measuring his own, saw him choose not to defend me. That's when I understood. This wasn't about meeting family. This was about showing her he'd come from somewhere he was willing to leave behind. Later, Rachel found me on the porch. "I don't like her, Dad." "Logan does. That's what matters." "Does it?" She sat beside me. "You see how he acts like he's embarrassed. Of us." I saw it. Just didn't want to say it. They left Sunday morning. Barbara air-kissed my cheek. Logan barely met my eyes. After that weekend, the calls got even rarer. And when Logan did call, something had shifted. The way he said Dubuque now carried Barbara's disdain. The way he said Dad sounded like obligation. Barbara had shown him a world of country clubs and summer houses. People who measured worth by zip codes and schools. And in that world, his father, the Iowa contractor, who'd sacrificed everything, had become an embarrassment worth hiding. That weekend was the beginning of the real end. I'd thought I'd lost Logan when he went to college. Turned out Barbara just finished the job. While my son was learning to be ashamed of me in Boston, I was learning something else, how to build something that didn't need his approval to matter. It started when Rachel was 15. I was working for other contractors, watching them cut corners and overcharge. "You could do this better," she said one night, helping me with the checkbook. "So why don't you—" 2 weeks later, I filed the paperwork. Cooper Construction, LLC. Just me, borrowed tools, and a truck with 200,000 miles. Henry Jackson was my first call. We'd worked together for years. "I'm starting something," I told him. "Can't pay much, but it'll be honest work." "I'm in." Our first job was Mrs. Patterson's deck. $800. 3 days under budget, she told her sister. Her sister told the church. Word spread. Porches, additions, repairs. Nothing glamorous. But we showed up on time, did what we'd said, charged what we quoted. Every dollar went back in. Better tools. Insurance. A trailer. A couple years in, we needed a third guy. Chris Anderson was 23, couldn't get hired anywhere. No experience. "I remember what that's like," I told him, "when nobody believes in you." Jobs got bigger. Commercial projects. Retail. The county courthouse, Logan called that fall. "Still doing that contractor thing?" I started telling him about the courthouse. Barbara spoke in the background. He shifted topics. I stopped trying after that. The company kept growing. 5 employees. 10. 20. We hired local. Trained them right. Paid them fair. Built a reputation for quality and taking care of people. Regional contracts came in. Schools. Municipal buildings. 8 years after we started, we had 40 employees and a real office. Industry people knew us. Developers called from 2 states over. Our bids weren't lowest, but they were honest. Logan never asked. When he called twice a year, maybe it was always dismissive. Still keep him busy, like I ran a lemonade stand. At his wedding, he introduced me. My dad, he does construction. Apologetic, like a condition. 10 years after starting in my garage, we operated in 3 states. 50 employees. 15 million revenue. We'd just finished a municipal complex, our name on the cornerstone for 100 years. Logan called on New Year's Day. Still keeping busy. Yeah, busy. Barbara got a new Tesla. Want to see photos. I looked around my office. Blueprints. Projects we'd built. Letter from the mayor. Chris's employee plaque. He'd been with me most of those 10 years now, running his own crew. Sure. He had no idea what I'd built, how many families we'd fed, how many guys like Chris we'd given a shot. Barbara didn't either. I thought about telling him. The revenue, the employees, the 3-state operation, the municipal complex that cost more than his annual salary. But I didn't, because somewhere in those 10 years I'd realized something. I wasn't building this to prove anything to Logan. I was building it because it's what I knew how to do, and I was damn good at it. The respect of developers 2 states away meant more than my son's approval. The loyalty of guys like Henry and Chris, who'd bet on me with just a borrowed truck, that mattered. Logan's opinion didn't, or so I told myself. Driving home that night past buildings we'd constructed, I realized I'd stopped needing him to see it. But part of me, the part that remembered a 10-year-old handing me tools in the garage, still wanted him to. That part wasn't dead yet. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. Robert Kingsley's name on my screen, industry veteran, the kind of guy who'd built half of Chicago's skyline. I almost didn't answer, figured it was about a bid. Daniel, his voice came through. I want to talk about your company. We met the following week. His office in Des Moines. Floor-to-ceiling windows decisions worth millions made over coffee. Your reputation is impeccable, Kingsley said, sliding a folder across the table. Your operations are efficient. Your people loyal. I want Cooper Construction in our portfolio. I'm listening. He named a number. $200 million. I set down my coffee. That can't be right. You've built something remarkable, Daniel. Kingsley leaned back. Most people don't see it because it's not flashy. Just solid work year after year. He paused. I see it. I asked for time. That night I sat with Henry at the diner. Same booth we'd sat in when it was just the 2 of us with a dream that felt impossible. Take it, he said. You've earned this. We've earned it. Yeah, we have. I told Rachel next. Only family, I told. We sat in her kitchen, and when I said the number, she cried, Dad, you did it. We did it. No, she shook her head. You built this. You. I asked her to keep it quiet. Needed time to process. She promised. Negotiations took months. Lawyers. Due diligence. Meetings where I felt out of place in my work jacket until I remembered they wanted what I'd built. By the time I signed the papers, leaves were falling outside the windows. The money hit my account 3 days later. After taxes, after taking care of my crew, after making sure Henry and Chris were set $120 million. I sat in my truck outside the bank, staring at my phone. Too many zeros, like a mistake someone would catch. I thought about calling Logan, pulled up his contact, thumb hovering. Then I remembered last time I'd mentioned work. He'd been in the middle of something, always was, and cut the call short. Dad, I gotta run. Run never came back around. I put the phone down. That night, I made the decision. I wasn't changing anything. Same house, same truck, same routine, same life. The money was just numbers. Didn't make me different. Didn't make the work matter more. Didn't change that I'd built something real with good people who believed in me. Word got around Dubuque eventually. Small towns don't keep secrets. Mrs. Peterson hugged me at the diner. Always knew you'd make it, Daniel. I didn't make it big, I said. I just made it. The respect didn't change. Was already there. Had been for years. These people watched me raise 2 kids alone, build a business from nothing, treat people right. The money just confirmed what they already knew. My son didn't know. His wife didn't know. Sitting in that truck, looking at that number, I realized something had shifted. I'd stopped needing them to know. Stopped needing Logan to see me to understand what I'd built to respect the work. But that old part, the one that remembered him at 10, eager and proud, still wanted to tell him. Still wanted to see his face when he realized that part wasn't dead, just quiet now. I put the phone in my pocket and drove home. Past buildings we'd constructed, through streets we'd helped rebuild, past the municipal complex with Cooper Construction on the cornerstone. My life, my work, my legacy, and for the first time in longer than I could remember, it felt like enough, even if my son never knew. My phone starts buzzing before I finish my first cup of coffee. 3 calls from Logan, 4. By noon, 12 missed calls sit in my notifications. The texts start friendly. Dad, can we talk? Last night got heated. Then an hour later, I know you're upset, but we're family. Let's figure this out together. I delete them without responding. By evening, the tone shifts. You always said family helps family. I'm asking for help. 2 modern hours would change everything for us. You'd never miss it. I set my phone face down on the kitchen counter. The next morning, Barbara's name appears. Her texts drip with sudden warmth that never existed before. Daniel, I'm so sorry for any misunderstanding. Logan's been under terrible stress. We'd love to take you to dinner or treat. Please call. I type one response to Logan. Not interested in discussing finances. Then I mute the conversation. 2 days later, someone knocks on my door at 7 in the morning. I peer through the window. Logan's BMW idles in the driveway, exhaust puffing in the January cold. No one's at the door, but a folded note sits wedged in the frame. Dad, I need $2. I know you have it. This could save everything for me. Please. I crumple the paper in my fist. I pull out my phone and type, no. Logan's response comes in seconds. After everything we did for you, you'd let your own son struggle when you're sitting on 200 matches. I stare at the message for a full minute. Then I type, what exactly remind me? The 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again, then nothing. I block the number. The story spreads through town faster than I expected. At the hardware store, Bill Peterson shakes my hand. Heard about Kingsley. Hell of an accomplishment, Daniel. You earned every penny. At the diner, Maureen brings me coffee and an extra slice of pie. On the house. For the guy who proved you don't need a fancy degree to build something real? The warmth surprises me. These people knew me when I was framing houses in the rain when my truck barely started, when I ate lunch from a cooler because I couldn't afford to stop working. They're proud, not because of the money, because I did it right. Back in Boston, Logan's life unravels in ways I only hear third hand. Aunt Helen calls one afternoon. Logan lost his position at the firm. Something about performance issues. Barbara's family found out their business is struggling, ironic, considering how they look down on you. I say nothing. The marriage is rocky, Helen continues. Barbara's talking about separation. Logan's mentioned wanting to come home for a while. I thought you should know. Home, I repeat. I told him I'd ask you. Helen, tell him I wish him well. I keep my voice steady. But I'm not his backup plan. I wasn't good enough when things were fine. I won't be convenient now that they're not. 6 months after that dinner, I sit on my back porch, with Henry watching the sun set over the Mississippi. My phone stays silent. Logan hasn't tried to contact me since that last exchange. You doing okay with all this? Henry asks. I consider the question. My son chose money over respect, Harvard over honesty, Barbara's approval over my presence. For 25 years, I kept showing up anyway, hoping, waiting, believing Logan would eventually see me. I don't feel angry anymore, just finished. I had 25 years, I say quietly. He chose differently, and so did I. Time passes. I sit on the same porch, same house, same Ford truck in the driveway. But the weight feels different. My son learned what I was worth. It took a while for me to learn what I wasn't worth chasing anymore. I could buy a new truck, could move to one of those developments with the 3-car garages. But this house is paid off. The truck still runs, and changing those things wouldn't change what matters. What changed is what I do with the money. The Cooper Construction Scholarship pays full tuition for 3 students. Every year, Kids studying to be electricians, plumbers, welders. Work that builds the world but doesn't get you into cocktail parties. I read every application myself. I mentor young contractors. Meet them for coffee, look over their bids, tell them which suppliers are honest. I give them what nobody gave me, someone who believed they could make it. At the diner, I pay for veterans' breakfasts. Recently, I heard about a young couple struggling with a down payment. I showed up with a check. They cried. I left before it got awkward. The money didn't change me. It just gave me more ways to be exactly who I always was. Rachel comes over every Sunday. I helped her buy a house, nothing fancy but hers. She teaches at the elementary school now, same one she attended as a kid. You respected me before the money? I told her once. Still do after. That's when I knew it was real. She'd smiled. Dad, I respected you when you drove me to school in a truck that smelled like sawdust. Money's just money. You've always been you. Logan got divorced, back in Boston, struggling to rebuild. An email appeared not long ago. Dad, I'm sorry. I finally understand. I haven't replied. Haven't deleted it either. Maybe someday. When he apologizes for the right reason, not because he needs something, but because he actually sees what he missed. Henry retired with a package that set him up comfortably. We still meet for coffee every morning. Same diner, same booth. Henry complains about his golf swing. I listen and don't mention I could buy the entire course. People in Dubuque still treat me like Daniel Cooper, the guy who built their decks. They talk about the weather, the Packers game whose kid made honor roll. Not my bank account, just me. Recently, a young contractor knocked on my door, one of the scholarship kids, 22, nervous as hell. Just finished his first solo job. Mr. Cooper, you changed my life. I shook my head. You changed your own life. I just believed you could. The kid left grinning, drove away in a beat-up truck that looked like mine years ago. Worth isn't in your bank account. Not in your degree or zip code or the car you drive. It's in what you build when nobody's watching, in how you treat people who can't do anything for you. I wanted my son to be proud of me. Spent years trying to earn that. Turns out I was chasing the wrong thing. The people who mattered already saw my worth. The sun sets over the Mississippi. My phone buzzes. Rachel's name lights up. Hey, sweetheart. I answer. Her voice is warm, easy, real. Sitting on this porch in this modest house with that old truck in the driveway, I know exactly what I'm worth. Looking back, I see where I went wrong. I spent 25 years trying to prove my worth to someone who'd already decided I wasn't enough. Don't be like me. Don't waste decades waiting for validation from people who can't see what you've built with your own hands. God gave me 2 hands and a strong back. He didn't promise me my son's respect, but he gave me the ability to earn my own. That's the lesson it took me too long to learn. When you put your faith in the wrong place, in approval, in status, in someone else's definition of success, you lose sight of what God actually put you here to do. My grandpa used to tell me grandpa stories about the Depression, about men who measured their worth by their work, not their titles. He'd say, Daniel, God sees every nail you hammer, every honest hour you put in. That's what counts. I wish I'd listened harder when I was younger. These grandpa stories carried more wisdom than any business school lecture Logan ever attended. This is a true story. Every word of it. And if there's one thing I want you to take from this true story, it's this. Your worth isn't determined by who acknowledges it. It's determined by what you build when no one's watching, and whether you can look God in the eye at the end of the day knowing you did right. I wasted years chasing my son's approval. Don't make that mistake. Find the people who see you, really see you, and pour your life into them. That's what this true story taught me. If this story touched you, leave a comment below. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you want more grandpa stories like this, real lessons from real life, subscribe to this channel. Your story matters. Your worth is real. And someone out there needs to hear that today.